On today's tutorial, we are going to look at how to scale a graph. In order to do so, we are going to use the information here, which are actually gotten from an experiment to get a refractive index of glass. So the first step will be to plot our graph normally. So to plot our graph normally constitute the first step. So we are just going to plot our graph. Okay, we go to this. Okay, once our graph is already plotted like this, the next thing will be okay, at this junction we realize that there is a very big margin that is left here that is not used. So we are supposed to scale the graph so that we remove this part of the graph because it is not of importance to us. So for us to do so, what we just need to do is we come to the axis. So let's start with the horizontal axis. So we click on the axis. Once we click on it, it is highlighted. We right click, we choose format axis, the last option, format axis. Once on format axis, we are going to choose the lowest point where we want our value to start. When we look at our data, we see that sin r values start from 0.31. It means that our graph can actually start from 0.29. So we will put here 0.2. Let's even put 0.28. And we realize that our biggest value on that axis is 0.73. So our graph can end on 0.75. So we can end on 0.75 or 0.78. There's no problem there. So within it now, we want that there should be small lines. So let's look at a case where we have those small lines inside, the subdivisions inside. Now within the subdivisions, we may want that since the principal units are at 0.1, we may choose that it should not be at 0.1, but it should rather be at 0.05. That is the principal labelings on the axis. So they are labeled as such. Starting from 0.8, we add 0.05 to the next value. We add 0.05 again to the next value. Now within each of those divisions, we see that there are 5 lines again, in such a way that each represents 0.01. Okay, so we may not want that this scale should be like this. We may prefer that it should be in scale of 0.1 for the principal labelings. That means we should leave from 0.8 to 0.28, and so we should choose 0.1 here. So that we should leave from 0.28 and go to 0.38. We go to 0.48. So much so that within each of those divisions now, there are 5 divisions again. From 0.38 to 0.48, there are 5 divisions. Now we may see that those 5 divisions are small for us. We may want that it should be more than that. So we are going to divide it again. So we divide it into 2, so that there will now be 10 divisions inside. So it means that from 0.38 to 0.48 now, there are 10 divisions inside. When we put it like this, it means now that there are 10 divisions inside, because the value here is supposed to be multiplied by 10. So on the x-axis now, or the horizontal axis, it means we have actually scaled it. But then one thing is still left. What is still left is that we can still shift this value to come back, but we are not going to shift it because we will need to extend. We will rather need to extend the line to go back. So we are going to leave the x-axis or the sin r axis like this. Now we will do the same for the vertical axis. We will right click on it, then we will choose format axis. Once on format axis, we are going to realize that the smallest value is 0.39. It means that 0 is not important here. From 0 to 0.3 is not important here. So we can start from 0.35. So we will type 0.35. and our biggest value is 1, so we can end at 1.1. okay, so 1.1, not 1.15. okay, so when we are at this junction now, we see that our graph now, the other parts have been cut out, which makes it actually good, because we will not have to be dealing with the parts that are not important to us. So we have now our graph like this. At this junction now, the next thing we would like to do would be to extend our graph as usual. So we should extend the graph so that it passes through this last point and below the first point. So to do so, we are going to come now to the graph. We select on the line itself, we right click and we choose format tendency curve. When we choose format tendency curve, we are going to just move down to where we have prevision. We customize it. We customize the prevision so much so that our line, we should say that our line should extend by 0.02, and then below it should start at a distance 0.02. So we have now our graph that looks actually like this, and the last thing now will be to add our equation of the straight line on it, so much so that at this junction now we can see that the gradient is 1.52, meaning our refractive index, since we're working for a glass block, the refractive index of that particular glass is 1.52. So this is generally the principle on how to scale your graph. So if you have a graph in which you don't need to use the first part, you can always scale the graph so much so that Excel will cut that part over and you will now be focused just on the essential part of your work. So I hope this tutorial helps you. So don't forget to like, to comment, to subscribe, and also to share the link to this video. Looking forward to seeing you in the subsequent videos.